Hello and welcome. This is Crossing Bridges, the talk show. I'm your host, Larry Montgomery Sr., and this is my co host, Will. Will, introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm William Montgomery. Proud to be here.
I'm William Montgomery. Proud to be here. Okay, good. I know we've been away for a couple of weeks. We've had some technical difficulties. When you hit 70, the technical difficulties come up. So plan ahead. I probably should have did the show 2 or 3 days earlier each week. I'd have been fine. But the devil's got to do what he got to do. So anyway, we're here. And today's topic, which we had planned on, but it came to me, we should talk about the power of words. And if we have time, we'll talk about another topic in relation to that verbal abuse. It's all wrapped in the same bow of communicating. Now, whether you're communicating with your spouse, girlfriend, or whatever, um, or if you happen to be a lady and you're communicating with your spouse, fiance, boyfriend, we're just two men talking about this topic from a Christian perspective. And so, the comments that I'll make, I've done some research on, and I think that they're interesting because they're interesting to me. So, Will, if you want to have something to say, otherwise I'll get started.
Well, I'm ready for the conversation.
Okay, here we go. The question: what does the Bible say about the power of words? The answer is words are not simply sounds caused by air passing through our larynx. Words have real power. God spoke the world into being by the power of his words. You find that in Hebrews 11 and 3. And we are in his image in part because of the power we have with words. Words do more than convey information. The power of our words can actually destroy one's spirit, even stir up hatred and violence. They not only exuberate wounds, ex, I'm sorry, exacerbate wounds, but inflict them directly. Of all the creatures on this earth, only man has the ability to communicate through the spoken word. The power to use words is a unique and powerful gift from God. What do you think about that, Will?
I think that is pretty on point.
Okay, let me go on a little further. Our words have the power to destroy and the power to build up. We find that in Proverbs 12 and 6. The writer of Proverbs tells us the tongue has the power of life. Hold on a second here. Where's my cursor? Okay. The power of life and death. And those who love it will eat its fruits. That's Proverbs 18 and 21. Are we using words to build up people or destroy them? Are they filled with hate or love, bitterness or blessings, complaining or compliments, lust or love, victory or defeat? Like tools, they can be used to help us reach our goals or to send us spiraling into a deep depression. And my last point. Furthermore, our words not only have the power to bring us death or life in this world, but in the next as well. Jesus said, "But I tell you that men will have to give account on the day of judgment for every careless word they have spoken. For by your words you will be acquitted, and by your words you will be condemned." We find that in Matthew 12:36 to 37. Words are so important that we are going to give an account of what we say when we stand before the Lord Jesus Christ. Now, whew, if we thought about our words over the years. Some of them, uh, just want to grab them boys and say, I didn't mean to say that one, you know, especially if I got to give account for it. I mean, we say words, we say things in the heat of anger, off the cuff or whatever, and we may not necessarily mean what we say. We may be just trying to look for a particular impact. I've said some things, and I know that they were totally ridiculous when I said it. But I was trying to make the other person mad enough to feel the pain that they've already unleashed on me. I saw a note on Facebook a couple of days ago, said something to the effect that people bring up the past, and you have to remind yourself that that's in the past. That was yesterday. That's gone. That's not me today. And they probably said some other things. It'll come to me. But anyway, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's important to realize that, nobody's perfect, first off. So if you've made mistakes in the past, you can atone for them. You can pray for forgiveness. You can ask for forgiveness and you have to be able to forgive yourself at times too, because some people might get forgiven by whoever they transgressed against, but then they find it hard to forgive themselves. And you kind of need both, and because like I said, it was the past. So in order for you to reach your better potential or be better at the potential that you're trying to reach, you got to let that luggage go.
Well, letting the luggage go is one thing, seeking forgiveness from God. Yes, it's a good thing. Seeking clarity and understanding from the person who you've said those things to may not always be possible. But what we can do is going forward, is trying to each day do better than we did the day before. Sometimes it makes you feel good to get it off your chest, and let them know exactly how you feel about it. But then other times it's like, you might want to think about it and say, look, is it going to help this person? Is it going to help this situation? Is it going to continue to perpetuate the animosity? Or, can I just, squash this and move on by saying something different or saying it a different way, which might be helpful. Sometimes people are upset. They're not upset at you. Even though the circumstance may be something that's upsetting, but what's pushing that upset is some other issue that happened that may not have anything to do with you. And so sometimes you got to sit back and think about it before you open your mouth. That's why he gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. You can hear more and say less. Okay, let me see if there's something else here. Let me first say that this is from a Christian guide that I put together, entitled. Let me see if I can put up the book cover. Now I want to share the screen. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it. Window, Edge, tab. Nope. Screen. I'm still trying to find it here. Hold on. I should be good at this, or better at it. On page 91. This is the actual book cover. Can you see it?
No.
No? Okay. Now, how do we do this? That's not what I want to do. Okay. That's not what we want to do. Okay, stop sharing. I'll have to figure it out. Haven't done it in a while. So, but anyway, let's go on. Let me get back to my page. Was that 68? No, it was 90 something, wasn't it?
I think it was 91.
91, I said? Okay. Hold on. We're at 91. Let's go to 92. Okay. The Apostle Paul wrote, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." We find that in Ephesians 4:29. In this passage, Paul is emphasizing the positive over the negative. The Greek word translated unwholesome means rotten or foul. It originally referred to rotten fruit and vegetables. Being like Christ means we don't use foul, dirty language. For some reason, many people today think it is macho or liberating to use vulgar language, dirty jokes, and foul language. But this kind of talk has no place in the life of a Christian. Paul continues, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. This is reminiscent of his words to the Galatians. Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone. That's Galatians 4 and 6. Yeah. Okay. So saying things, letting things come out your mouth that are going to be helpful, even when you're annoyed, even when you're angry. And sometimes, I think really, probably all the time, if you're upset at something and you're getting ready to speak and you think about it, that gives you a chance to let that feeling, that emotion slip away, because our emotions really only last for a few seconds. For 90 seconds, that's all it is. It's a change in the chemistry of the body and in the mind. And so if you wait, it'll pass. And I talk about pain. Pain is something totally different. You feel that. But your emotions, your responses to other things. Is that helpful? I don't know, because it's kind of challenging. But now that you know, if you think about it from time to time, you might find yourself responding differently to many situations that in the past you've responded to in a certain way and gotten a certain result. Okay. Am I good or no? Should I go on?
Let's go on.
Okay. Now I want to look at one more thing, one more page after that. I want to go back. I said I was going to talk about verbal abuse. So let me go there, because there's some things that we should know. And I think one of the things about this whole conversation, what does the Bible say about verbal abuse? Again, we come back to the point of communicating. Like start out with the boyfriend, the girlfriend, husband, wife, friends, whatever. The ability to communicate effectively is where you want to be. We all communicate. Sometimes it's not effective, meaning that what we said or what we were trying to say did not come across well or was not clear, okay? Or it did not get the result that we were thinking. You tell a joke and it wasn't funny. That's awkward. You say something that you were meaning to be funny and the next other person slaps you, that would be awkward too. Clearly your ability to communicate with that person has been challenged. You need to give that some thought before you open your mouth again, because you don't want to get slapped another time.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we started out with trying to make a real effort to say things that are helpful. I'm not saying lie. I'm not saying be avoiding. I'm just saying try to be helpful as opposed to letting my emotions dictate what's coming out of my mouth. And so now let's talk a little bit about verbal abuse. What does the Bible say about verbal abuse? The answer: the Bible does not use the term verbal abuse, but it has much to say about the power of our words. Succinctly stated, the tongue has the power of life and death. And I've said that already. And again, that's Proverbs 18:21. Verbal abuse is one weapon in the arsenal of emotional abuse. While the tactics of abuse are many, the ultimate goal is to gain control over someone in order to establish dominance in a relationship. Verbal abuse is not the occasional flare after a bad day or a temporary lack of verbal self control in the midst of an a tense moment. It constitutes psychological violence. Verbal abuse is a habitual sin that seldom goes away on its own and can potentially escalate into physical violence. I mean, have you found yourself at any point, you kind of talk yourself into anger? You know, you're upset about something and you're putting your points together to make them, and you're making them to this person, whoever you're talking to. And as you're listening to what you're saying, meaning you've already said it and now you're hearing it, okay, you're starting to get madder and madder and madder, and you can lose control, because now you've convinced yourself because you said it out of your mouth. So you heard it coming out of your head. Then you heard it coming out of your mouth back into your ear. So it's like twice. I'm really mad because you did this, and then I now am being reminded of the fact that you did this. So it's kind of a self-inflicted problem there, So if whatever it was that you received in, and sometimes you don't have to receive something that you don't particularly care for. I mean, people could stand there and be talking about you, and you just don't receive it. So you say whatever you want. I'm not listening to you, or I'm not receiving it. So I'm not letting that get into my spirit, type of a thing. So yeah, there's another mechanism for control. But again, back to verbal abuse. Let me quickly get back to that. Overt verbal abuse. Hold on one second. Overt verbal abuse could include angry outbursts, screaming, swearing, ridicule, name calling, blaming, accusations, criticism, threats, orders, mockery, manipulation, coercion, pull downs, shaming, word twisting, rewriting history, and attacking personal character. Covert verbal abuse is more subtle and cloaks hidden aggression. It frames concern and has the effect of brainwashing, leaving the victim confused, off balance, and questioning his or her verbal abilities. Over the long term, any kind of abuse can leave the victim feeling uncertain, unable to make decisions, and drained of any sense of personhood or value. The victim begins to accept the blame and believe the crushing words that are convincingly and repeatedly thrown at them. A lot going on there. Okay. But abuse is abuse. It's not something that just, something fell out of your mouth. This is planned. You know, this is an ongoing effort to get control over somebody, and you just start abusing them. You know, and sometimes you may not even realize that you're abusing them, depending on their response. You know, you're trying to make a point, and they're not trying to hear it, but you keep making that point. Eventually, they're going to hear it, and they're going to get sick of hearing it. You know, but anyway, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's abuse. Like I said, is abuse. Um, People, I think it's more of a learned behavior. Some people may study it to use it for that purpose, but some people it's they've been passed down through generations of it. Maybe it could probably even skip their parents. Maybe they learned it from their grandparents and how their grandparents interacted, and their parents don't do it, but it jumps to the children. And I mean, there's probably many different ways for people to get these techniques or whatever, for lack of a better term, that they use to push on other people. But I think being able to identify it and understand that that's a problem and not good or healthy. Um, I mean, because if you enter a committed relationship with somebody and you're doing these things to them, and that makes them not want to be with you anymore, and they leave, yeah, you hurt them temporarily, but you hurt yourself in the long run if you really wanted to be with that person. So, I mean, it could be damaging on both ends.
It could, and then you got to also remember that some people, that is who they are.
Hmm.
They are just controlling people. They're just abusive people, and that may not necessarily come from what they've been through. That just may be who they are. And the thing is, you have to um, make a determination as quickly as possible before you start or enter into a relationship with somebody who has those qualities. It's kind of hard. You're looking for a job, you get hired today, and then tomorrow you find out that your boss's controlling personality. You just like, now what do? You just started a new job, 1, 2 days, 1, 2 weeks, or whatever, and you find out that you can't work with this person. So now what do?
Start looking for another job.
Do you put it on your resume that you had that job for 2 weeks?
Well, if you put in for a different job somewhere else, and you wait until you get hired to that job, then however you leave that job, you're good.
See, and there you go. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying you've decided that I need this job, and I'm going to have to work through, around, or over this personality over here who has authority over me. When you go home every day, how do you feel? I mean, you're ready to pull your eyeballs out or someone's eyeballs out.
Hmm.
So yeah, it is the job worth it? Yeah, I need the money. I don't want to be in the street, but I don't want to come home and kick the dog every day. It's not the dog's problem. It's not the dog's fault. I'm working with a person who has a personality that is 360 degrees opposite of mine, and I didn't know that before I took the job, you know. So, I guess it's just food for thought, but it's the same thing um, when you find yourself in a relationship with somebody as to how far do I go before I realize how important that mentality is going to be in the relationship. The first date or so, you go in, we're going to go to dinner. Okay, where are we going to go? Usually that's what the woman says. And you go, well, we'll go to Pizza Hut. The woman's, I really don't like pizza. Oh, well, you'll like it. They make all kinds of pizza over there. It's good. Well, I really don't like pizza. Well, it's close. It's good price. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go. Yeah, it'll be fine. They got good music, but I really don't like pizza. So now you already kind of made up your mind you wanted to go out with them to see how they are. But before you get out the door, you figure out that it's going to be his way or no way. So now what? Yeah. And you may not have that conversation before the date is confirmed. You may say, well, let's go out tonight and let's go out now. Where are we going to go? Oh, come on. In this car will go. Where are we going? Pizza Hut. Well, I don't like pizza. Oh, you'll like it. Nah, come on. Let's go. You see? And it goes downhill from there. You say, well, I thought I liked them, but, it's a little demanding, a little controlling or whatever. It's not flexible. And you don't know what else is coming behind that kind of thinking. So, yeah. I don't even know how we got on this topic, but
abuse.
Huh?
You're talking about being abusive, forcing, pretty much pushing your own thoughts onto somebody and that's unwilling to, or that doesn't feel like.
Yeah, you want to be flexible, because sometimes it's a good thing to be flexible, and sometimes it's not. And and things do go wrong, horribly wrong. And so you say, well, I'm trying to be flexible. We did your thing that you wanted to do, and it didn't work out really well. So now let's try something that I like. Well, listen, you see what kind of person you deal with. We had that bit long. I think we did 2 shows on the questions that you should ask before you hook, before you get in a relationship or talk about marriage or anything like that there. And I think that what I've seen over the last months or whatever, there's a tendency for people to not want to get married. Maybe because to avoid some of these type of situations, well, if I'm not married to you, I can always walk away. You may not be married, but will you walk away? You can, but will you? And you find a lot of people nowadays stuck in relationships that don't work and won't work. Oh, we don't want to get married. We just want, we're trying to figure this out. Okay, fine. Well, how long does that take? And in the meantime, what are you going through? You're happy, you're not happy, you're happy, you're not happy. But the reality is, do you trust them? And can you trust them? You could trust somebody, but you can't trust them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It sounds like I'm saying the same thing twice, but it's 2 different points. I trust you. If I'm standing here and you're standing behind me, and I say, if I fall down, you'll catch me. I trust you. Okay? But can I trust you? Because if I'm standing here and I go to fall down, and you're not even there. You see? So can I trust you? Okay, as long as I got my eyes on you, yeah. If I take my eyes off you, I can't trust you. I don't know what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, so we don't get married, but yet we have kids. Now you're living in a household where there's 2 different principles. 1, I can walk when I want to. 2, I'm not thinking about walking because this is working for me. And I could push this envelope to the edge every day because I can walk, but I won't. So what are you going to do? Put them out? I could, because you're not married, but I won't, because that wouldn't be a nice thing.
Yep.
So, yeah. So connecting with people in that kind of situation, you want to be very, very sure up front that this has got strong possibilities of working. because once you get into it, oh man, you get tied up. Oh, we use the same car. I share the bills. We have a checking account together. Yeah. Oh, now we got a baby. Yeah. We got a dog. We got a fish. We got a cat. Yeah. Uh, I brought all my silverware over. Things that you just tied together now. You just can't do that. But anyway, so enough for me. We're 30 minutes into this. We can cut now and run, or we could continue.
I mean, what's the next topic?
Yeah, what is it? I broke through this week.
I mean, we were talking about some with the news you mentioned earlier that you was thinking about. Maybe.
Yeah, I couldn't remember anything that I really wanted to talk about.
I mean, the hot topic is the Jello pudding pop. Man.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come right back and we'll switch to the news. Break. We're back. Okay. The news.
Okay.
Bill Cosby.
Yes.
Man, I used to love Bill Cosby, man. He was a funny guy. And it was clean fun. Wasn't, like Red Fox, kind of funny, But then it's like what they call that, the black man's curse. As soon as you get some money in your pocket, all you know is white women. All you want to know is, now Bill Cosby got a nice wife, good looking woman, and she's good looking because she's old and still good looking. Okay. Sometimes they're only beautiful when they're young, But the boy got off. Off. But the damage is done.
That's what they want.
And on more levels than a lot of people would realize. I mean, sure, he gets sued now and get some dollars in his pocket, but people look at you now differently. And it's like, man, if you hadn't been messing with them white girls, you'd been fine. Yeah. Some people say, well, because he was getting ready to buy NBC. They wanted to really shut him down because he had too much power. But then you turn around and look at what Oprah did. He said, I'm doing mine from scratch. It'll be all me. You don't think Bill could have figured that out? I can't buy NBC. They don't want to sell it to me. I'll start my own. What do you call it? Cosby Broadcasting Network.
Cosby Communications.
Okay, Cosby Communications, CC, whatever. But the point is that, your history, you thought it was behind closed doors. Okay, fine, that didn't work out for you. But had you not been doing it anyway, you wouldn't have had to worry about it being behind closed doors, locked or not. And you already had a good looking wife. I mean, really, man, you got to, we have to hold ourselves responsible for what we do. Just because you act like that don't mean you need to do it like that. You know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying, but I feel like they're trying to push this stuff in a way to try to destroy the man. I mean, all this stuff that but I didn't see the deposition that supposedly he said, but to my understanding, he didn't say he committed a crime. He said, they had drinks and, there was some preludes or whatever, that was there that he provided. But when you have somebody that's what they do. I mean, back in the 70s and the 60s and 70s when it was all free to love, they smoke weed, they drink, they, orgies, all kind of stuff, part of my language. Hopefully, I don't get banned for that. But free love, and they would do things like that. I mean, I watched a show with Sinbad talking about how that was the party thing, to use back in the day. Lewds. Hey, where the lewds at? And so when you have a culture where behind the scenes, this is what they do, but now it's being exposed 20, 30, almost 40 years later. And this is something that like people that nowadays probably don't think about. It's like, oh, he was wrong for that. But you got people that do other things nowadays. And, it's like the culture's still there. It's just a matter of now they're trying to say, oh, well, he was bad because he's doing this, but they're pushing this stuff in the music that we listen to every day. Like, oh, give her this, give her that. Now they're trying to make it seem like if you buy a girl a drink and ask for something, they're trying to label that as the R word, which I'm like, that really doesn't make sense, because then that means everybody in the world who's ever bought somebody a drink is trying, either attempting to or has committed that act. And it's like, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, and it's not like we are walking up on that slippery slope blindfolded. Every one of us who's done it went in with our eyes wide open. Now, whether we wanted to see it or not, and I mean, like, well, okay, everybody's doing it, so it must be okay. Really? How many times has that blown up in someone's face? Well, so-and-so was doing it. Really?
I mean, that's true. But this is what I'm saying. Like when people get into groupthink and they're trying to tell us what we should feel and what we should think, and how this person should be demonized or shut down or canceled because what somebody else is. I mean, if you feel a certain way about somebody doing something, hey, but you can't tell me how to feel some way about it. I'm like, oh, well, this is a travesty. This is great. I'm like, but that person who, one of the things that stuck out to me was when the case was going on, they were saying they asked one of the ladies, she was invited to a place. She went to the place, and she was saying that he put something in her drink. And I'm like, that doesn't make no sense. Because if you tell me, if I go to somebody's place and they're fixing me a drink and I see them put something in my drink, why would I drink it? You know what I'm saying? Did he make her drink it? Did she? I mean, but to me, it just doesn't make sense when you tell me that that's what happened, that you seen him put it in there or you watched it in there and you still drank it after he put. Either you got to ask, is that what you wanted to happen, or?
No, well, let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
I understand your point. Most people would just have glossed over that point and just assumed that what she was saying was, I didn't know he put it in the drink until after I drank it, and I realized that it was something other than what I thought. Okay, that's one side. The other side of the thing is, what the hell are you doing up in this man's house alone with him at night or day or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing there? Oh, we was talking business. You was talking monkey business. Because most people who talk business nowadays, they want to get there. I want to be eye to eye. I want to know what you're saying, because there's so many snakes out there that you better be watching it. Even when you leave the room, still be watching it. But anyway, again, and it's back to Bill. Listen, if you wasn't doing anything or had no intentions of doing anything, why would you put yourself in the position that someone could just say that you did it? Being in you put yourself in a situation. You should know better, especially at your age, in the business that you're in, where image is the only thing you got. People don't hang out with you because they like you. They hang out with you because you all that. Because people see you a certain way. And then what? Now you let yourself. And I mean, you can't beat up on the guy. You just say, look, you got no excuses, and so don't run any out here because you did what you did because you wanted to do it, and then you caught the wrong end of the stick. You know, but I feel bad for you. That you had to learn it the hard way. What does the Bible say? You don't put yourself in that situation, you won't have that problem. You know.
And, that was the behavior that he grew up with in Hollywood. And I mean, a friend of mine was telling me how he used to sit there and judge wet t-shirt contests at the Playboy Mansion. He had his own key to the Playboy Mansion. So I'm like, when you have a culture in Hollywood, and this is where, I mean, he was like one of the first real famous, wealthy black men. He was in movies, comedy, a comedian. He's doing all this stuff. So you're put in a position where everybody knows you and everybody's after you, or everybody wants to spend some time with you, and this is what they do to party. And I mean, I'm not trying to excuse the behavior. I'm just saying that when you're in that world, you don't think about, okay, this is what I show in public, and this is what I do behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? And you got those two personalities.
Well, you can have the two personalities. I understand that, and a lot of people in that environment and then not in that environment think that it's okay. But when you look back, like at, let's say, Andy Griffin, and you look at Denzel Washington, now I don't follow either of them, I'm a major fan type thing, but I have never found either of them mentioned in any paper anywhere in a light other than they're doing the right thing or you don't know their business. Either way you want to put it. And so with the money that Andy Griffin has and the money that Denzel has, Cosby would have been in the middle of those two. And he was a founder, one of those, the original OG type thing. He knew better. He just didn't do better. And it caught up and blew up in his face. And now you want to be upset about what happened? Oh, well, she lied. I didn't put anything in her drink. Why was she in your house drinking with you alone? First question.
I mean, that's not a crime, though. Her being in this house drinking is not a crime.
Yeah, but in that particular environment, at that time, you the only one at that time. You big star. You all that. It didn't dawn on you that you might be susceptible to getting used by all those people who in that environment who use people.
I mean, to me, it highlights another thing that people don't usually think about, is because if this happened 20, 30 years ago, with all the power and the fame that he has, maybe he knew, because he knew the right people, that it was going to be suppressed. And now it's coming out.
He thought he knew that he knew the right people.
No, he knew.
He glossed over?
No, he knew because he was the hot ticket. Jello pudding pops, Cosby Show. He was untouchable. But
he thought he knew the right people.
See, you're not listening to what I'm saying. He knew because we're finding out about it now, right? Because if he didn't know the right people at that time, it would have been out then. But he was the man. Just like if you look at anybody that's on the top of the charts or whatever, they're probably going to be more protected than anybody because their image, everybody's making millions and billions of dollars off of them. They're making millions and billions of dollars off Bill Cosby. Now he's not in the Cosby Show no more. he's trying to do some other stuff that might be against the grain. Oh, well, you know what? We'll just use this stuff that we have from back in the day, 20, 30 years ago to.
I give you that. I give
See
you
what I'm
that.
saying?
But I do say at the end of the day, he knew better.
He probably didn't. I mean,
He knew
I
better.
mean, yes, you know, that it's not the Christian thing to do.
Well, whether
Right?
it's Christian or not,
No, I'm just saying.
if it was his daughter going out and confining herself in front of him, would he have allowed that to be acceptable?
He probably
He would look, you know, you want to do business with these people, you want to get to know them, you be in the place, this is how you do it.
Mhm.
You know, it's behind closed doors where anything can happen in private. Really, why would you take the chance? But anyway, all right, it's done.
Yeah.
It's done.
I
It's
think
done.
that was a facade. Because I mean, if you're going to do business with somebody in the hotel room or their house or whatever, you're not bringing somebody with you to. You go in
Yeah.
there, it's just him. He doesn't have his attorney with him. He doesn't have, you know, his business manager with him, and you stay. I mean, that's where it's like, come on now. You know what I'm saying? Like it just don't pass the smell test.
You put
But
you
this
put
is what they
yourself in
chose.
a bad situation, and you know you just can't trust anybody in any way.
Hmm.
Don't allow yourself to get in that position. You don't have to worry about the other person feeling that you know you think you all that. You're snooty. You know, I can't get comfortable and tell you the truth. Well, what kind of truth you got to tell me where I got to take my clothes off? Huh? I don't need that kind of truth. We ain't married. I ain't got to take my clothes off. You know, what are you talking about here? To get a job, to get money? Listen, if I'll do anything to get money, I'll do anything to get money, you know? And so if you double up to think, well, he's going to do the right thing for me to get money, you think they won't do the right thing for somebody else to get money, you know? So that's again, it's on you.
Hmm.
You put yourself in that position. Cosby put himself in that position, and it blew up in his face.
Well, 30 years later, I mean, it's not. I mean, it to me that's the phenomenal thing right there, because it's like, for it to be that bad, it should have been out the next week, 2 weeks later, a month, whatever. But
Listen. You know that in recent years, any celebrity is subject to running into the same thing, whether they did it or didn't. They running into this. You know, it's happening even with your guy, number 45. Stuff coming out of the past, whether he did it or not. You know, ain't about opinion. Whether
because
he did it or not is thrown up in his face, and it's like, why now? Oh, well, had you not been running for president, it would have never come up. Had
mhm.
you not made billionaire, it would have never come up. Had you not married that beautiful woman, it would have never come up. People come up with all kinds. These are the kind of people you're dealing with, and you think they won't do what they do.
I'm saying I know what they're gonna do,
Yeah,
because if you look at it, it makes it makes clear sense that if this happened back, let's say, in the 90s, it's 2020 or 2018 when he got sentenced. You
hmm.
know, it's like, well, what has changed with Bill Cosby? Well, back in the 90s, he had a hit TV show, well, two of them. You know, he had A Different World, he had The Cosby Show. You know, he's doing all this, all that. He's untouchable. He's with the right people. They know, got the right man, whatever it is. Now, he ain't doing that anymore. He's not on the dream team anymore. He's expendable. So now, if he step out of line, we got him, because we know what he done did. We've been covering it up.
That's true. You know, whatever the reason was, it came out,
Hmm?
and it almost stuck on them. You
But that's
know,
what's like for us. Like, this is something that, as people, as men, we need to discuss and be like, look, you can't. believe that these people out here that promise you the world are going to really have your back. They'll sell you up the river at the moment's notice. So if you're not watching your step, not doing the right thing, you know, trying to be the best Christian that you can be, you know, or the best religious person that you can be.
Or the best person. Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't want to put on people to be Christians if you don't not interested, because people have a conversation about that one way or the other. That's theirs to do. But the reality is we know what's right and we know what's wrong. You can call it under the umbrella of religion, under the umbrella of being a good citizen, under the umbrella of being just a good man, a good husband, whatever. Anyone you want to use.
Yeah.
You know the difference between right and wrong, what's good and what's bad. You know that if that shoe was on your foot, you would have a whole different conversation than what you would have because, oh, that happened to you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you did, as opposed to, well, that's what I did. You know, take responsibility for what you did. Okay.
And in this day of social media, when everybody's videotaping themselves and taking pictures of doing this and doing that, counting money, flashing this, flashing that, that stuff don't go away. You know what I'm saying? It could be used against you. You might think it's cool now. 30 years down the line, what do you think they're going to pull up on you? You know, you're starting to get famous, you're starting to get rich. Well, hey, you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying, you got to be careful. Everybody's got to be careful. Like when you're dealing with people, when you put stuff on the internet, social media, like all that stuff, it don't go away. And if they can get somebody to say, well, see, he had a picture here at this hotel, and that's where he took advantage of me at. That's all the evidence they need nowadays to say, hey, he did something, and you can't even refute that because you gave him the evidence. But I'm just saying. I digress.
No problem. All right, it's time for you to do your announcement.
All right. Good evening, everyone. You know, we would like to extend the invitation to send us topics if you would like us to talk about something. If you would like to participate in the panel, you know, please send an email place your email in the comment section, and we'll try to reach out to you and maybe get you on the show. But it has to be a good topic that you want to be a part
of. All right. And I want to thank you. I love you.
Love you too.
And we'll talk to you again next week, along God willing, and the creek don't rise.
God bless you.
Bless you.